Hey guys, welcome back. This is ChosenArchitect, and today we are going to be making some of the things that you guys have suggested in the comments below. So, I hope you guys are ready. So a lot of you guys have been messaging me down in the comments and been saying, hey, why don't you decorate your area a bit more? Make this look a lot nicer. And believe me, I plan on doing that. During episode 20, here soon, we are definitely going to be working on that. And there's also going to be a time lapse as well, like one of those nice time lapses that I normally do in playthroughs. We're going to be doing that episode 20. Those take quite a bit of time to set up, so believe me, that is something that I want to do then. So, with that in mind, decorating will be done very soon. But on the other hand, let's start talking about something else you guys have mentioned in the comments as well, and that is my Mekanism setup. So right now, it's all great and dandy, right? It works. It works. It's definitely not the best setup in the world though, right? There are some things that I could be doing that would make this so much better. So let's go ahead and take this. I want to hook this back up. Here in a little bit, we are going to be changing how this works. No longer do we need these machines. I don't need that or the water there. I don't believe that's conduit anymore, but that is painted. But anyways, we are going to be setting up a better power generation. You guys said use ethanol as your power with Mekanism inside of your gas burning generator. So apparently ethanol can be used inside the gas burning generator. It doesn't, see, the problem with Mekanism is it doesn't tell you too much information about the mod within itself. You have to really look on the wiki to kind of find that out. But you do see right here, energy stored, we have like a little bit in there. But what we want to do is we want this thing to produce a bunch of power. So the best way to do that is to set up some sort of machine down here. I'm going to use this so we can sort of like eyeball how this is going to look. I do need some basic cables here, pressurized cables. We're also going to need some conduit, some fluid conduit, item conduit, believe it or not. And we're also going to need another machine. So let's get into Mekanism. We're going to need the crusher. I don't think I had made the crusher, even though I should have. This is going to require pretty much everything we don't actually have. Do we? We have circuits. We throw those in there. And we're missing lava buckets. So there's the crusher. Exactly what we needed. And we need to get this placed down and ready to go. So what I want to do is I want to run the rotten flesh into the crusher. This is going to give us bio fuel, or I don't know if it's called biofuel or fuel or biomass. I think it's called biomass. But anyways, we need to feed that into this machine. Of course, this machine is going to need some power. So just a simple GPS will probably suffice for right now for giving this thing. Actually, I don't know if these can be powered with GPSs. Can they? Oh, they can. Okay, so at least this one can. But if we throw this in here, that's going to start crushing this down. Look at the power kind of fluctuating there. And this should only be using, yeah, it's using 6 RF a tick. And it's going to produce biofuel, right? So then we need to take the biofuel and put that in the PRC, which is the pressurized reaction chamber. And then we're also going to need the hydrogen that we're producing from our electrolytic separator. So we have our electrolytic separator right here. And we need to produce hydrogen. And then this right here is probably going to go, I don't know exactly where we're going to put this thing yet. It's going to go somewhere. But our electrolytic separator, we can probably throw that here for now. And, or actually that doesn't need, the reaction chamber probably needs to go there. This needs to go kind of over here. Alright, so let's go ahead and make that PRC. I don't think it's pressurized reaction chamber. There we go. It's going to require some tanks. A dynamic tank, which I don't know about this thing. Steel? I always feel like we never have any steel. But we do have the stuff for it. So, I'm going to go make some steel. And I'll be back. Alright, so I went ahead and got all of that made. And we should be looking pretty good now. So, here is the pressurized... Here's this reaction chamber. And we just need to get kind of everything wired in and figure out what all is going to be needed for hooking these things up. Because Mekanism can be kind of crazy. So, configurator. Let's pull that into our hand. Now, right now, we can see the different sides, but to be honest, we should be able to change most of these. This right here, though, only pushes out on a certain side for its material. Let's go ahead and grab the sink. I'm just going to place the sink right here for now. And then we'll figure out how to route out for this. So this needs water, of course. It also needs some power. So I guess we could just use conduit for right now and then figure out what actually needs to go where and just sort of line it up from that point. So conduit, where should I hook you up? Should I hook you up back here? I'm just going to run this along here for right now. So I'll figure out what all needs power and where it needs power. So the gas burning generator doesn't need anything. It's full of hydrogen right now, actually. We could probably just use that temporarily for our power. Let's go ahead and do that. I think this hooks into the front, doesn't it? Man, what an odd place to hook into. Alright, so that's hooking there. We'll just leave that on. That's going to keep that powered. This also needs power, or actually, I think this, yeah, this needs power as well. So we're going to have to send power to it also. So there we go. That should be sending power. Perfect. Now, we need to get this, which we're going to be able to automatically send rotten flesh to this, which is going to be fine. But we need to get that biofuel into the PRC. We also need to get water into here as well. And I'm going to try. I think this might work when it comes to getting the water in there. Always active. So yes, water's going in there. Perfect. And then we also need water going into this machine as well. So this should work. We'll set that to extract. And that should be filling both. Okay, so that's connected. And then this is going to produce hydrogen. We can go ahead and dump that, but we'll leave it idle. I'm going to be dumping oxygen. Dumping excess oxygen. Hydrogen we need to move. So, hydrogen. Is that going to be going in there? It doesn't seem like hydrogen is going into the side here. Okay, so after doing some configuration, I had to go in here and I just went ahead and removed everything except for on the gases side. I just went ahead and enabled the gas for the right side. So that way the electrolytic separator here can actually push into here perfectly. And we don't end up with any problems. So what this is going to do is this is going to accept biofuel. Now we need to pull that from this machine over to here. To do that, we need to change our sides. And we also need to set up something to pull from over here as well. So let's go ahead and change up how this works. We can accept energy from all sides. I want to go back, and then the input is going to be red, and then our output is going to be blue. So we need to keep that in mind. Input red, output blue, right? And then over here, we need to remember that this is red, and this is going to be for our items. And we're going to set this to input right here on the red. There's really not any other color. It's just red. And then auto eject, I can go ahead. I don't know if I need to enable auto eject, but we should be able to send the items directly over just with a conduit going always active and to insert. That should automatically send the items over, as you can see. And you can see we're left with substrate, and this also needs some power, so I'm going to hook this back up. You can go ahead and hook it there for right now. So this is just using up the residual power that we have built in here. But you can see there's ethylene. I need to pump the ethylene up into here. So I'm going to go ahead and break that actually. Push that down here. The ethylene needs to be pulled out, which is on the blue side. So if we go to, which I believe ethylene is a gas, correct? Or is it I believe it's a gas. Or is ethylene... Let's see, the rotary condenser. Let's take a look at it. I think Let's see, condense. If I remember correctly, ethylene needs to be turned into liquid ethylene. So yeah, it's still a gas. So we need to set this config to be on the gases, and the blue is going to be your output on the top. So that should output from the top. We should be able to place this here, and that should go directly in. It may need to, yeah, that should work. We just need to make sure that ethylene is the thing that's being removed. There we go. That should pull the ethylene out. And there we go. We're producing ethylene. So now we're producing a bit more power. I don't know if it's enough to run all these machines, though. That's the problem that I want to make sure. It does seem to be building up power. But I want to make sure that it's actually producing more power than it's using, because some of these methods seem like, at least with Mekanism, that you're basically relying on your solar panels, and you're relying on upgrading, basically taking the power from the solar panels and using it to produce a little bit of power. But in this case, I don't know exactly yet how much this is producing. It does look like it's producing more than it's consuming, because this is still building up, which is great. Alright, so if that's the case, we should be able to fill this, or put this somewhere. The problem is of course our cables are a giant mess, but that's easy to be fixed. I think what we might do there is, I don't know, this guy being on this face, we might just rotate it to be able to hide the cables. But anyways, this sort of is producing it. Now we're producing substrate, and we do need to figure out where to get rid of substrate. I don't exactly want to get rid of it, but I do want to move it into somewhere like a drawer. So let's take a drawer. Let's go ahead and we'll just throw it inside one of those for now. And to do that, I'm just going to run the cable over here. Now, like I said, I do need to get stuff over here to produce the biofuel. You may be wondering, how am I going to do that? I want to show you. So let's go ahead and get this out of here. I got to set up the cabling for this as well. This is just going to use item conduits. We're just going to route this over here. So item conduits. And then we need to configure the output, this guy, on the items to output the bottom. And then we'll set this to extract always active. Insert. And that should be putting the substrate in there. Perfect, pulling the substrate out. Alright, so let's go ahead and get our rotten flesh from our mob farm. And we're going to get that rotten flesh and we're going to place it into here. To do that, there's a few steps that are going to be required. So we're going to need ourselves some item filters for our conduit, which I have right here, and basic item filter and then a conduit. And then we're going to need to make ourselves an item transfer node. This is going to allow us to wirelessly transfer items from place to place. It may seem a little bit weird, but it's something that you can definitely do, and it's really fun to play around with. Alright, so let's go ahead and make a couple of those. There we go, and we have an item transfer node. Now we are still going to use the GPS for this. So let's go ahead and make one of those. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, by default, I'm going to go ahead and select this as where I'm going to place the item. And I think it might work. If not, we're going to use a secondary inventory. But if you remember correctly, down here, we gave ourselves access to the drawer controller. And we're going to need to utilize that. So let's go ahead and head down here. Right underneath here, we have access to our drawer controller. Of course, this is going to be really loud. Let's go ahead and pause this for a moment. And I'm going to place this right here. Directly with the item conduit, we're going to place that down there. This is going to be set to insert. This is going to be removed because we don't need to send items here. And then in here, we're going to set an item filter on the extract. And that item is going to be rotten flesh. So we're actually getting a use out of our rotten flesh. I know, right? So we place that in there. And when we set that to always active, that should be filling this with rotten flesh. So if I place this in here, this is supposed to send items into our machine, but it may be causing some issues. It may not see that that's available to happen. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and get a drawer. So we're just going to make another regular drawer. I need item conduit. And we're going to place this drawer right here. Item conduit this to the side. Remember, we already set the side. So we'll insert that. Extract here. And that should pull any item that goes into this drawer. Now, with that in mind, let's go back and grab our GPS, and we'll set the GPS to the correct location now. Sometimes Mekanism machines can be kind of finicky depending on how they're set up. But this is basically going to say, hey, this is where the item needs to go. So now it should be placing them directly into the drawer for us. You can see it sort of funnels out. And that should be feeding right where it needs to go. We'll turn this back on. So let's head back down and just make sure. Yes, that is going there, and that is starting to work again. So what we're going to have is ethylene built up in here. And we need to send that power somewhere. And I'm guessing I'm just going to send it directly into this. I mean, that's the only other thing I can think to do currently with this power. Because I don't know how much exactly it's sending out just yet. But it is sending out of that front area. I'm thinking about just getting power directly from these machines and then seeing how well this functions going into the main machine. I kind of rerouted everything, and we have just this leading into our main cube here. And this thing seems to be producing quite a bit of power. I mean, we're looking at like almost 1,000 RF from this thing. Now, it's fluctuating, going up and down on the amount of ethylene that's being used. So its burn rate is set at 11. And I'm guessing that's based on how much is coming in. I don't know, but it says the max output here is 1.6 thousand RF. That's on the max output, and then it's producing, though, currently around 8,000 RF. And it seems to be handling that pretty well. This should, like, reach a common ground, I believe. Just as long as we have something here going into this, which seems to be our downfall at the moment. It seems like we're also running out of water on here. There's no way. Oh, I might have I turned off the connection for our water back here. So that's easy to set back up. Our fluids, I think it's the back. I don't know which side's what on the fluids. We could probably say all sides work, and then that will work. And then on this side should be fine. But yeah, it looks like biofuel is the only thing that's keeping us astray, and that could be, you know, solved with speed upgrades. But at this point, I mean, it's still maintaining its burn rate, and then this isn't even really consuming anything. So I'm wondering, does this continue to burn regardless of if there's power that needs to go somewhere? That is a question. Now, if I set these to disable, and I set these to where they're no longer generating power, and now we're solely relying, well, of course these have backups in them, but we're solely relying on this for power generation. It seems to be maintaining everything. Right? I mean, these seem to be doing their job mighty fine. Huh. Very interesting. Now, I do notice, I do know why we were having power issues before. That's because the max output that these things can do is only 5,000 RF, where I think it was needing more than that on our other setup. But, yeah, I do appreciate you guys recommending this. I think this is going to work out just fine. So let's go ahead and get some stone. And we'll fill the wall back in. I mean, this isn't even that ugly of a setup, to be honest. It's just in the wall. Of course, this room is meant to be ugly. That's why it's underground. Some power setups are not the nicest thing to look at. Now, if I remember correctly, we do have some upgrades. Let's see. It's Mekanism and then upgrades. I think they're called muffler. Muffler upgrades, these guys. This is going to require some steel dust. So I do want to take some of the steel that we ended up making. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's all of the machines that can even generate anything with the steel dust. But I do want to turn those into muffler upgrades just to quiet things down a bit. Otherwise, it's just going to be, yeah, okay, so they only stack to 4 anyways. So this will be perfect. So 4 of them inside here. We'll make that quiet. The PRC, 4 of those in there, and then the only other one is the electrolytic separator, which makes that sort of humming sound that we hear. But that should be all we need. The other machine I don't think has slots for upgrades. So we're gonna have to deal with that making noise. Which I think is this, the gas burning generator? Yeah. This is the only other one. There we go. This actually has energy upgrades. Now I wonder if I was to put energy upgrades in all of these, how much more effective that would be. But this is producing more ethylene than we're actually burning at the moment. But it still is a backup, right? But guys, I really do appreciate you guys letting me know about that in the comments. So it did take a little bit of time for me to kind of wrap my head around it, as Mekanism is one of those mods that I never really play with, right? And you would think it'd be something that I like because it's really logistical. The reason I don't like it is because it's hard to make it look good. Now, I do know some add-on mods that work with Ender.io that make it look so much better. And the ones that I'm talking about, they're like Mekanism cables that are turned into conduits. So you have all your tiered Mekanism cables, but they're conduits instead, which look way better. Way, way better. By the way, our armor, oh my gosh, is like, it needs to be upgraded. We need to really change our armor. This is like pathetic, wimpy armor that we have on, especially since we have stuff going in the end. But let's take a look at this. So here is all of the materials that we have been generating. So I left this running for about 8 hours overnight. And you can see that, man, it's going to take a long time, right? This right here, these crystals in particular, this is what we have to use to upgrade to the next tier. Now, eventually we could make a pipe that produces more of these, but at this point, we're really just waiting on these crystals before we can upgrade to tier 2. So that's what I'm thinking. Potentially next episode, I think that is going to be episode 19. We are going to get our pink slime going, and we're going to generate we're going to create the other resource generator. And that's going to be the miner. What is it called? Industrial foregoing laser miner. So the laser base is not that bad. Like, these things are not bad to make. So you need the laser base, you need 4 laser drills, but these lenses are going to require pink slime. So we just need some pink slime, and I think we can just go ahead and make an Ender.io spawner for those. And we can just place that anywhere and kill them ourselves with our looting blade. That should be something we can go ahead and do. So I think we have a little bit of time for that. So right now I'm going ahead and I'm just combining that pink slime vial that we set up a while back ago. And yeah, this is just going to be relying on our power here. Oh boy. And I think that might be because our power system was changed. Is that still getting power is the question. Yes. Okay. So it's just basically being held up by the 640 RF a tick power limit that our conduits have. Unfortunately, that's the thing that we have to wait for. Or I can just get a GPS and I can just make this go faster. So GPS on this bad boy. I think last time I just moved, so I just moved one of the power things over to it, but this should work. That should be going a little bit faster now, hopefully. Well, maybe not. Anyways, I'm gonna wait for this to finish, and then we're just gonna convert this thing over, and we're gonna start utilizing the slime spawner. We now have a spawner, and all we gotta do now is just get it hooked up, and it should generate some pink slime for us. At least that's the goal. We do have a capacitor already in there. Activate with a signal. And I'll set this to it. And there we go. We can spawn ourselves in some pink slime. And look at that. And use our powerful blade to get ourselves tons and tons of pink slime. Because this does have max looting on it. Luck, as it says. This little guy, by the way, is from Random Things. And if we had a potion, we could kill it with a potion only. And it will drop some ectoplasm. But of course, if you don't kill it with a potion, it doesn't drop any ectoplasm. Yeah, this thing just has to build up. It does seem like it does have enough power. At this point, it's literally just waiting on its timer. Seems to be doing a pretty good job. And then it's going to spawn them. Oh boy. And this one spawns like large ones. So then we get a bunch of little tiny ones. And yeah, this, by the way, is how you would manage to get tons and tons of pink slime without any problem. Yeah, I mean, I think that's enough pink slime for now. For now, anyways. Look at all these shurikens laying all over the place. Well, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, don't forget to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also ring that little notification bell, and give this video a huge smack on that thumbs up button, guys. I really do appreciate it. You guys have been absolutely amazing. I'll see you in the next episode, and as always, thanks for watching.